Morning, Trainiacs. That was a little race simulation kind of morning with 8 times 9 minutes at 225 or more watts. Playing around a little bit back and forth with low cadence, regular cadence, and just a 1-minute rest in between for a total of 72 minutes, damn near continuous, at or above race pace. Good thing I've got these gorgeous new beauties to motivate me and push some watts. A lot of you are going to hate me for what I'm about to talk about. And we're going to talk about super duper high-end carbon insoles for your shoes versus more budget level carbon insoles for your shoes. I know that there's gonna be a huge chunk of you that are like, hey, Taren, you are trying to sell us snake oil. Well, we spend thousands of dollars on bikes to potentially get a few minutes, maybe, perhaps faster. Why not spend $100 on something that'll absolutely put more power into the pedals? I gotta run in a minute. So all right, Trainiacs, we have only 3 points of connection with the bike. And I find it very interesting that people understand that they have to optimize their aero position with the pads up front and their aero bars up front. They stress about getting the right saddle. They will invest in hundreds of dollars of shoes, but they won't look at insoles to make sure that their foot is stable. If you have an improper position up front where you're not stable and you're kind of bouncing around, you're gonna lose power. If you have an improper saddle height, a saddle that is uncomfortable, causes you to bounce around a little bit, you're not gonna be stable here, and that's gonna cause you to lose power. If you have a shoe though, that even though it's clipped in, on the inside, your foot is moving back and forth, it's moving forward, or your arch is collapsing, this is not going to be very firmly connected to the bike and you are going to lose power. Hey, dude, this is my stepbrother Ruben. He's a jerk. All the dogs want to be in the video. So frankly, when I did that last video on these Solestar insoles and everyone lost their mind on me, it was astounding. Like, literally, just think about it. What do we put power into the pedals with? We put it into the pedals with our feet. And think about it, if you have an insole in here, that let's say your arch is collapsing and you're pressing down, your arch is going to collapse and all of the pressure is going to go that way, not that way. So A, you need to have an insole that has good arch support. B, if you have an insole that has little bits of slippage inside, your foot is going to be moving that way. Power is going to be moving and dissipating across the surface, not downward into the pedal. And if you have an insole that has a little bit of flex in it and isn't making the shoe as stiff as possible, doing a video. A lot of the power that you're going to be putting into the pedals is going to be put into torsion and flex in the shoe. So it amazes me that people will spend $10,000 on a bike to maybe save 10 to 15 watts, maybe 1 to 3 minutes over the course of an Ironman. They'll also spend hundreds of dollars, maybe saving 2 watts on a set of race tires that they own. Ruben! They'll also spend $200 to $300 on a set of race tires and latex tubes that they only use for 2 races. But they won't spend $100 to $150 on a set of insoles that they use for races for years and workouts for years. It doesn't make any sense that people lost their mind when I did that last video. So let's talk about which insoles I recommend. Hint, Solestar. So let's just run through some of the options. This is just a standard insole that you would get in every shoe. There is really no stability whatsoever. There is barely any support for your arch. So this, while it might be extremely light and extremely inexpensive, it's not going to transfer a lot of power into the pedals. This is an upgraded insole that you might have to spend about $30 or $40 on. You're going to have a little bit of arch support, so it is going to give you just a little bit more stiffness and a little bit more support so that your arch doesn't collapse, sending power out the side of the pedals. This is what I'd recommend though. This is a Solestar BLK Black. This is the carbon fiber insole that I use in all my cycling shoes. Now you can see a huge amount of arch support. It's also very tacky on the surface. There is really no flex in this whatsoever. It's very light and it's very stiff to the point of being uncomfortable to walk around in. Costs $140, more expensive than anything else, but to get a lot of those same benefits at a slightly lower price point and be a little bit more comfortable, this is the Solestar Control. This is a fiberglass version. I really can't tell the difference in weight. Still extremely stiff, not as stiff as the BLK, but still very, very stiff and only costs $99. If you take a look at Solestar's website, the BLK is listed as having 5 out of 5 for stability, 4 out of 5 for the control. Both have a 4 out of 5 for vibration dampening. BLK is only a 2 out of 5 for walking around comfort, while this is a 3 out of 5 for walking around comfort. I've tried both and I really can't notice the difference. I still do have peak power outputs with the control that's about 70 to 80 watts higher than when I just use the slightly upgraded, slight little bit of arch support insole here. So whether you're doing the BLK or the control, you're still going to get peak power outputs. And even if that translates down to a 1 to 2% translation into your steady state race pace efforts, that amounts to 2 or 3 watts. That's about what we save spending $200 to $300 on a set of race tires with latex tubes that you use for 2 races and throw away. These you can use for years on end. Now, this is not a sponsored video from Solestar. They have sponsored some other videos. They've sponsored the podcast in the past, but I legitimately use these. You know that I don't allow anyone to sponsor this, and believe me, we get a request, I think, every second day to sponsor the podcast or the YouTube channel, and unless I genuinely use and like it, it doesn't get on here. So I've set up a coupon code for either these BLKs or the controls where you can get 10% off if you go to the Solestar website and use the coupon code Triathlon10. These are $140, these are $99, knock 10% off. And as far as dollar per ride and improvement, I think it's silly that people lost their mind in the last video, but not everyone is as cool as me and the dogs, and maybe Mel. All right, Trainiacs, Triathlon 10, go check it out. Let's let these dogs back in here. Come on, guys. Look at him go, look at him go. He's like a real dog. Later, Trainiacs.